Kelsey Zeiser, Senior Editor at Light Reading, and we're here at Automation Everywhere in Dallas, and I'm joined by Jeff Brown with Windstream. Good to see you, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here, Kelsey.
So you were just on a panel and a fireside chat with James Crawshaw as well, and the panel discussed what are some of the major drivers of automation and optimization of the carrier WAN. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, there are quite a few different factors affecting and driving service providers to automate and virtualize their networks. Some of those include, competitive aspects. The OTT providers, the web scale providers have really set out a model for driving those kind of changes within the data center. The valuations of those companies clearly are very strong, and service providers need to be able to reduce kind of the overhead expenses, become more efficient. I also think, especially for us, customer satisfaction is a real driver of it. Just being able to differentiate ourselves from our competitors, provide a service that really meets the customer's needs and gives them an overall good experience is really kind of our driving factor towards what's motivating us in this direction.
And you also talked about moving more toward an app store model. Can you tell us more what you mean by that?
Yeah, that was an analogy to try and describe where we see the industry going as it relates to virtualization and the level of, say, service provider purchasing versus in-house development, which a lot of the vendors seem very concerned about. And the analogy that I use is really the App Store. So you've got certified VNFs, virtual network functions, that are produced by the industry that are certified, through a standards body, and they're put out on the open market.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And in the fireside chat, you talked a little bit about Windstream's own automation journey and your optical wave services deployments. Can you tell us a little bit more about maybe some lessons learned there?
Yeah, one lesson obviously is that it's paid off, both in terms of new revenue and customer satisfaction. So the Layer 1 OWS, or optical wave service, which is branded as SDNow, SDN optical wave services, is available at over 55 markets. It has a guaranteed 20-day install interval, and it's definitely resulted in increased customer satisfaction and good positioning for us as a leading national provider of transport. Throughout that process, which took the better part of last year to be able to introduce those services in the third quarter, we did learn a lot of things. One is that multi-domain, multi-vendor service orchestration is definitely complicated. It takes some work. We've gotten great support from our partners, but obviously having the platform providers being able to interface properly with their controllers and then interface properly with the service orchestrator takes some work. And we've gone through those growing pains, and we've made it work now at the Layer 1 level. One of the just inherent difficulties of doing this at the Layer 1 level versus, say, Layer 3 is just this element of lack of network discovery, right? So you're going to have an intent-based service. You're basically saying, I want to go from point A to point B. At the Layer 1 level, it's difficult to be able to look out into the network and say, hey, what do I have there? What elements do I actually have? What's the physical state of those elements? So it's very important that we have strong network inventory and data integrity for all of the elements within our network, all the way down to the shelf, the chassis shelf card level. That's an ongoing exercise, obviously, when you've bought as many companies as we have, and we set up so many different vendors and platforms, and things have been introduced in so many different ways. But that was probably an unanticipated aspect of some of the early fallout we got with some of our orders. We've actually been very pleasantly surprised that the orchestration itself, once the data is correct, works very, very well.
And kind of in light of some of Windstream's recent acquisitions, and then also, again, with that move to more network automation, what are some of the cultural changes within Windstream that are necessary, and how can Windstream prepare its network engineers to have those skill sets necessary for more network automation?
Yeah, I think every service provider is trying to pivot to become much more agile. We call it DevOps focused, right? And say moving from a traditional waterfall type of methodology where you spend a lot of time writing out very, very detailed requirements that probably, well, by the time you're done, have become outdated, and then go through an extensive IT project management process. We've had great collaboration between our engineering and our IT teams, as well as our project management teams and product and the business side of the house, kind of working together to drive out a commercially viable SDN-based product, that actually uses true service orchestration. So some of that is just having people working together more closely, understanding that there's a blend between, say, the IT side and the network side, and some of that will just take time. You're going to see that across all service providers. It might require some organizational changes. There were some references in the panel that some people predict, the CTO and CIO job roles may blend over time. I don't really have an opinion on that. We'll have to see how that works. But clearly, I think everyone recognizes that the network engineering side and the IT side are going to have to work a lot more closely than maybe they have before.
Right, that makes sense. Well, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure, Jeff.
Absolutely.